morning. There I am. Good morning to all of you. You look so beautiful. The room is packed. Welcome to the 2024 National Urban League's opening plenary and State of the Urban League address. It's my joy and honor to welcome you all this morning. And on behalf of the National Urban League and the Urban League movement, thank you for being here with us this year. And we hope that you're ready to learn, to plan, and to act. Our work is definitely cut out for us. So you're in the right place and at the right time to make and to get informed and inspired to make real differences in our communities and in our nation. We have so much to cover together this week. Undeniably, we all know we have work to do right now to answer the call of the National Urban League to truly defend democracy, to demand diversity, and to defeat poverty. It's hard work, yes it is, but it's good work, and it's necessary work. We're truly in unprecedented historical times, times that are challenging, times that are pressing us in tremendous ways. The current racial justice backlash is undeniably real. DEI policies being reversed, in-your-face discriminatory voting laws and racial gerrymandering, revisionist history and censorship of whole academic programs that celebrate the rich diversity of our country are all at risk. A Supreme Court that for the first time in our history in a nation makes us question its ethical standards. And that's just the beginning. And one of our most pressing concerns today is Project 2025, a radical blueprint by the right-wing think tank Heritage Foundation to transform the US government into an authoritarian regimen where the president's power is expanded and unchecked, where our protections are dismantled, and where the civil rights progress we've gained over 70+ years is destroyed. This agenda that is already being implemented and supported by Republican Congress members is rooted in white supremacist ideology. We must fight back. And we're calling on you right now to act now by texting, take your phones out, by texting Stop Project 2025. Text, I'll say it again, to Stop Project 2025 to 52886. Let me repeat it because it's not on the screen. Stop Project 2025 to 52886 to learn what you can do to counteract this dangerous threat to our democracy. Now is not the time to sit back and just hope that things will work out. And as always, the National Urban League is front and center in the fight for democracy, equality, and economic and social justice. Now, if you're ready, because we're ready. I see people still texting, that's good. We want you to continue that. Now let's turn our attention to the purpose of this time together this morning, to discuss the state of the Urban League, which in reality is the state of our nation and is the state of the world. I'm especially looking forward to this year's keynote address, which will be delivered by our very own president and CEO, Marc H. Morial. I have no doubt that President Morial's message will move us toward new, effective strategies designed to preserve our country's democracy. Our work is deep and requires significant investments of time, talent, and treasure. And so, with a grateful heart, I'd like to acknowledge our generous title sponsors for this year's conference. Let's give it up for Bank of America, Nationwide, Toyota, and Shell. And we certainly want to thank our sponsor of today's event, Target. The steadfast support of all of these partners humbles me, truly. Their investment is a clear nod of an affirmation regarding the value and relevance of the work of the National Urban League and the work of the entire Urban League movement. And their true spirit of partnership is especially significant at this time, when the League and its affiliates are working harder than ever before to combat escalating attacks on our democracy on all levels. So please join me in thanking the sponsors, partners, and champions of the National Urban League for their unwavering support of the League's mission and vision. Please give them all a round of applause. Thank you again to all of our sponsors and partners. Now, please welcome to the stage a true leader and friend of the League, our chairman of the National Urban League Board of Trustees and Chief Administrative Officer at MasterCard. Please welcome Timothy Murphy.
Well, good morning, Urban Leaguers. What a pleasure to be with you in New Orleans this morning. And welcome to the 2024 National Urban League's Open Plenary and State of the Union League Address. It's my joy and honor to welcome you here this morning. Sorry, one moment. Just let me get to my piece. So I'm really honored to welcome you as we officially kick off this critical convening. This conference, everyone in this room, all of us together, we represent the largest and most influential civil rights and urban advocacy gathering in the nation. That is powerful. Now, we only earn these superlatives. Thank you. Let's clap for that. We only earn these superlatives because of each and every one of you. The work you do every day to lift up communities and your choice to be here together this week in community, that is also powerful. We know that we are living through an era of unprecedented challenge and change. The competition for what deserves our attention has never been greater, especially this year in a consequential election cycle. So your decision to vote your time and treasure to support the National Urban League, to focus on what we can do to keep advancing this movement together, that is powerful. So let's use these days to learn, to grow, to challenge each other, and to keep building on the incredible record of success that the National Urban League has delivered for decades. So thank you. We have so much to look forward to this morning. Musical performance, anthem, Lift Every Voice and Sing, by the Clark Atlanta University Choir. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand. beautiful rendition, a song of memory and of inspiration. I want to thank the Clark Atlanta University Choir, one of our premier HBCUs, for sharing their gift of music with us. So we hope you're ready for this year's annual conference. We've pulled together dynamic speakers for our plenary and breakout forum sessions each day. We trust you'll leave inspired by their fresh perspectives on major issues impacting our communities. We will also honor phenomenal women in leadership at the Woman of Power Luncheon, truly a don't miss event. And we look forward to seeing all of you in your finest at the Whitney M. Young Jr. Gala Awards Ceremony on Friday evening, an unforgettable celebration that will honor exceptional leaders in their fields. We also encourage you to enjoy the Urban League Now Experience in Lounge, which is open from 10:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. today. And tonight, be sure to join us for the Urban League Live Party being hosted by State Farm, Molson Coors, Volkswagen, and Avalon Bay. And what a vibrant, exciting city for our convening this year, don't you agree? Indeed. New Orleans is one of the most magical and resilient cities in the nation. It is full of flavor and an extraordinary deep history and a vibrancy that is unmatched. And New Orleans has certainly already been enormously generous in receiving us with a big heart. So if you've never had the pleasure of hosting a conference of this magnitude, I can tell you it's great work, but it's also lots of hard work. And it's why we're so grateful for the support of the local Urban League leaders who work hand in hand with the national team each step of the way. And so at this time, I'd like to invite the President and CEO of the Urban League of Louisiana, the great Judy Reese-Morse, to the podium to share a few words. Judy.
Thank you so much, Chairman Murphy, for that introduction and for your amazing leadership and partnership. Good morning, everyone. It is with great pride and pleasure that I say to you, welcome, welcome, welcome to New Orleans. The Urban League of Louisiana is proud to host the 2024 National Urban League Conference right here in the great city of New Orleans. Many of you know that in 2023, we celebrated our 85th anniversary. So to follow that milestone year with this honor in 2024 is very special to me and everyone at the Urban League of Louisiana. Thank you to former New Orleans Mayor and National Urban League President and CEO, Marc Morial, as well as the National Urban League leadership team and the Board of Directors for your confidence in us. Serving as the host city for the largest civil rights organization in the country can be monumental and takes the work of many. There isn't enough time to acknowledge everyone, but I'd like the following to stand and be recognized. The Urban League of Louisiana Board of Directors, the Urban League of Louisiana leadership team, Kathy Washington, Cherie Duckworth, Classy Duncan, Deb Vaughn, and Tyrone Walker. Our amazing and incredible staff, the National Urban League Conference host committee members, co-chaired by Jade Brown Russell, who is also chair of the Urban League Board, Kim Boyle, General Russell Honore, and Bill Goldring, and all of the local panelists, vendors, and volunteers who have come together to give the movement a great experience. Please give them a huge round of applause for their hard work and many contributions. Selecting New Orleans to host some of the country's best thinkers, leaders, and advocates for this year's National Urban League Conference is a testament to our city's rich civil rights history, as well as the leadership, advocacy, and service that the Urban League of Louisiana and its partners deliver every day to the thousands in communities that we serve. Today, the Urban League of Louisiana anchors our service and advocacy here in New Orleans and in 6 other cities across our state. We're proud to provide incredible impact that brings our mission to life, to build a Louisiana where Black and other people of the global majority have economic self-reliance, generational wealth, civil rights, and equitable representation. We join 91 affiliates across the country in defending democracy, demanding diversity, and defeating poverty. We defend democracy through our statewide voter education, registration, and mobilization initiative that is increasing the number of new Black voters and increasing Black voter turnout during every election cycle. We demand diversity through convenings of corporate DEI leaders in Louisiana and through partnerships that attack the major disparities in health outcomes for our communities. And we work to defeat poverty by using a holistic and family-centered approach that includes doubling down on early childhood education, expanding resources for small businesses and apprentices, and tackling the racial wealth gap for Black and brown families through program, policy, and practice changes. The Urban League of Louisiana's vision is to build a legacy of well-being and economic security that passes from one generation to the next, and where Black people and others of the global majority are living their full potential. And I will tell you, we won't stop until we achieve it. We do this work every day to bring our mission to life, but it is just knowing that we are a part of a mighty national movement that keeps us going, keeps us focused, and keeps us hopeful for the future. We are here today together to replenish and renew the fire that this time demands of us. The Urban League movement is one of eternal hope, and you came to the right place to renew the fire and hope that we need for the fight that we're facing. Our prayer is that you leave New Orleans better informed, better equipped, and more motivated than ever to do the work of ensuring that our communities have the information, support, and tools that they need to thrive, not just survive. And while you are nourishing your minds and your souls, don't forget to spend generously as you nourish your bodies with a cuisine unlike any other in the world. Be sure to spend generously with local Black-owned businesses here at the Hyatt and around the city, because it is downright rude to return home without gifts for family and friends. We hope that you have an incredible time while you're here. Again, welcome to New Orleans. God bless you.
Let's give Judy Reese-Morse a warm round of applause. Folks, I work for MasterCard, and I just want to echo her remarks. Spend generously. It's good for the economy, good for the nation. So now it is my pleasure to introduce our conference sponsors and the sponsors for this morning's State of the Urban League address. Now, before I introduce the sponsors, I just want to say a sponsor of the National Urban League, a company that sponsors the National Urban League, it's more than money, although money matters. It's about partnership. It's about channeling the energy of their thousands of employees to do even a little bit of the work of the mission of the National Urban League. And I think of each of the four companies you hear from this morning, you'll get a sense of that and the power of these corporate sponsorships. So, with us today are conference sponsors Maurice L. Coleman, who is the Tax Credit Syndication and Investment Executive for Bank of America, Glenn Wright, the SVP with Shell Energy and a fellow board member of the National Urban League, Monica D. Womack, who is the General Manager, D&I and Community Engagement at Toyota Motor, and sponsor of this opening plenary, Kira Fernandez, Executive Vice President and Chief Community Impact and Equity Officer at Target. Let's welcome them each, please, with a round of applause. Thank you.
The racial and economic disparities that have long existed in this country have been widened by the coronavirus and amplified by the most recent acts of injustice. People around the world are coming together with greater urgency to demand action. At Bank of America, we know we all have a role to play to overcome the very real consequences of systemic racism and inequity. This includes individuals, governments, nonprofits, and the private sector. Racial equality and economic opportunity are deeply connected. That's why Bank of America has committed to address critical gaps in affordable housing, access to healthcare, employment and job skills, and the resources small businesses need to succeed. We can do more, and we need to do more now to further advance racial equality and economic opportunity for all.
Good morning. Give yourselves a round of applause for being here. Good morning. Again, I am Maurice Coleman, and it is a wonderful privilege to be here to speak with you today. First and foremost, I want to thank my dear friend and brother, Marc Morial, President and CEO of the National Urban League, for being a true inspirational leader in our community here in the city of New Orleans, as well as for the National Urban League for over 2 decades. At Bank of America, we are so grateful to have had Marc serve on our National Community Advisory Council, where he provided invaluable insights to our leaders to help us create products and solutions to deliver to the communities that we serve. And as many of you may or may not know, over the past 2 years, Bank of America has invested $14.9 billion across the country to develop over 24,000 units of affordable housing, charter schools, as well as community facilities, and we provided the capital to finance the expansion of the National Center for Civil and Human Rights in Atlanta, Georgia. Today's conference, though, that's right, you can give a round of applause. Today's conference, though, is very special to us because we're thrilled to be in this amazing city with Marc and his family and all of you to celebrate you for your many contributions in moving this city forward over the past 50 years. We're also extremely honored to have our Chief Administrative Officer, Steve Boland, serve on the National Board of the Urban League as well. Our partnership and our investment in communities continues because it's critical that we provide financial resources to uplift communities all across the country. Ladies and gentlemen, there's an old African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. Let's continue to partner to go together and uplift and empower our communities. Thank you for being here, and thank you for allowing us to be your partner.
Good morning, Urban Leaguers. Now that's the way you make an entrance in New Orleans. As most of you know, Shell has been refining in Louisiana for nearly a century, and this state is home to thousands of our employees. We are part of the fabric of this state, and New Orleans holds a very, very special place in our hearts. Judy shared some special remarks only moments ago, but I want to say that this is the only place in the entire country where you can have a jazz band at this hour of the morning and nobody bats an eye. That spirit of fun and creativity is what makes this community tick, among other reasons, like your talent, tenacity, and the best food in the land. New Orleans gives us Jazz Fest, the Second Lines, the Saints, and I must mention the fantastic Livewire graduates who are growing their entrepreneurship all over the state. I invite all of you to join them in the Shell Lounge today to learn more about their ventures and what they are doing. Shell USA is incredibly proud to be a part of this community. Louisiana and New Orleans will continue to be instrumental in helping us to deliver the energy society needs today while we work towards becoming net zero by 2050. Last year in Houston, I stood on the stage and said that to truly make progress, we believe everybody must experience the economic, social, and environmental benefits of a changing energy system. No community can be left behind. That is as true today as it was then. My friend Marc Morial agrees. Marc has dedicated over 20 years of service to the National Urban League, and he understands that an inclusive energy transition will always mean listening, engaging, investing in the Black community, starting right here on his home turf. I am so honored to be here, and I'm proud of the 50-year plus relationship that Shell and the National Urban League has had. Judy and Marc have created a fantastic special program for all of you this week, and I look forward to it. I look forward to community, I look forward to good company, and of course, I look forward to good feud. So with that, as they say here in New Orleans, laissez-les bon temps rouler. Have a fantastic conference, and thank you.
Just pretend like you like my mama's hair.
It's obviously a wig.
Well, give it a compliment. Hey.
I'm just addressing the elephant in the room. The elephant is the wig.
Do not make me come back there. You know what?
Life's grander in the first ever Grand Highlander. Toyota, let's go places.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Monica Womack, General Manager of Diversity Inclusion and Community Engagement for Toyota Motor North America. And it is a pleasure and an honor to welcome all of you to this game-changing conference here in the beautiful city of New Orleans and today's State of the Urban League plenary session. For more than 3 decades, Toyota has partnered with the National Urban League in our shared goal to create a world where opportunities exist for all and where everyone can reach their greatest potential. And to that end, we proudly support this conference and other empowering initiatives that advance communities of color and elevate the underserved. So as you've heard today, we're going to hear from our President, Marc Morial's vision for the future, and particularly in this climate, one that defends democracy, demands diversity, and defeats poverty. Now, as you think about Toyota as a mobility company, we are strongly dedicated to limitless possibilities for all. And our vision parallels the essential benchmarks from the Urban League. Because while we're leaders in a business of providing physical mobility, like the cars that we sell, we also aim to be leaders to ensure social and economic mobility for all. So I want to thank all of you for being here, and I hope you will enjoy a wonderful and impactful week as together we turn our collective desires and dreams for a more inclusive world into more of a reality. Thank you.
These are our moments of joy, our everyday, our traditions, our stories, our creativity, our get-togethers. Because the joy we create every day is what makes us, us. Shop the Black History Month collection at Target.
Target, Target, whichever one you prefer. Thank you all and good morning. It's such a blessing and a gift to be here. This is my grandmother's homeland, so I feel like I'm at home. So it's just beautiful to be in this space. I want to first thank Marc Morial, Tim Murphy, Judy Reese-Morse, and the Urban League Board and all the affiliates for bringing the Urban League mission to life. And I did share that my team and I fulfilled all of the desires of food and libations yesterday, and we'll continue to do that before we depart back to Minneapolis as well. So thank you for that reminder that we need to be well-fed and well-hydrated. It is a mission I believe in deeply, that mission being the National Urban Leagues. As a leader at one of the largest employers in our country, 450-ish thousand team members strong, and as a proud daughter of educators and engaged citizens, and I'm also a parent, this fight for democracy is at the core of what we stand for as a country. And I couldn't be more proud to be here representing Team Target and our incredible team members across this country and across this globe. At Target, playing a role in helping our communities is deeply embedded in our DNA. We've had a community legacy of giving for over 120 years, as originally the Dayton-Hudson Corporation and now Target the last 60 years. We continue to build on that rich history of care and giving through our industry-leading volunteerism. I just want to pause at Target, more than 1 million hours of team member volunteerism dedicated to community. That is industry-leading. And our commitment to community engagement and diversity, equity, and inclusion through a diversity, equity, and inclusion strategy that's 20 years strong. And I just want to pause and say those 3 letters, DEI, while they stand for diversity, equity, and inclusion, they also stand for disciplined and extremely intelligent. They also stand for dedicated to engaging innovation. They also stand for dedicated to evangelizing impact. And I can do that all day long. I am a child of educators. So when you hear those letters, diversity, equity, and inclusion is just one part of what we do. But what it really stands for is creating opportunity where everyone can thrive. And that's the outcome of this work that we're dedicated to in partnership with the National Urban League, ensuring that everyone has an opportunity to thrive. And certainly as you interact with Target in any capacity, you feel like you belong, you feel like you're welcome, you engage in our business, and you strengthen and drive our culture. But we also understand that we cannot do that alone. This is not the work of one leader, one team, or one organization. It takes the power of a collective, like that village, that African proverb, to bring this all together. And so moments like this where we gather, we can truly feel like we belong. To believe in diversity, to expect representation, not settle for it, expect it. To call for the center of humanity that guides all of us and to truly inspire impact. The National Urban League exemplifies this collective. So on behalf of the entire Target team, once again, thank you for your commitment to sustained progress towards a better future. And thank you for being part of our journey. Everyone have a fabulous morning. Thank you.
So remarks by 4 great companies, and companies notwithstanding the environment that are doing the work, that continue to advance an inclusive agenda because it's the right thing and also because it's just really good for business. So before I introduce our next speaker, let me go back to something Rhonda spoke of earlier. She shared the Urban League's concern and call to action to each one of us about Project 2025. And she called on us to act now by texting Stop Project 2025 to 52886. I just want to remind you again, it's text to 52886, and what you're going to text is Stop Project 2025, all one word. It's all one word, Stop Project 2025. Okay, with that, let me then thank again all of our sponsors for their support for the National Urban League and their tremendous generosity in allowing the league to continue to do its great work. And let me just ask for a round of applause again for our great sponsors. We know that the National Urban League wouldn't be the force it is today without strong, dedicated leadership over the years. And how fortunate we are that Marc H. Morial has been the league's helm, at the league's helm, for now over 20 years. Marc has served the league and communities throughout our nation with courage, with grace, and with an unwavering devotion that is simply unmatched. And at this pivotal time in our nation's history, when so much is at stake, Marc is the leader the Urban League needs. Let's welcome Marc H. Morial to the podium. Marc.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to get through this thing called life.
The Great Migration was really seeking a political asylum within the borders of our own country.
When you look at the radical changes that happened within a few years of the demise of slavery, there was a kind of irrational exuberance.
Sometimes in the most repressive times, we create the most extraordinary art.
One woman said, "I have had enough," and 50,000 voices answered, "Amen, sister, enough for us too."
I have a dream that all men are created equal.
You should ask yourself who taught you to hate being what God gave you.
And I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
If you're going to allow somebody to be free to organize genocide, to organize murder and racism, then that doesn't make any sense at all.
I don't want to be given anything by you. I just want you to leave me alone so I can do it myself.
We must not be afraid to say to ourselves that we have much more work to do.
That noble idea passed on from generation to generation, the God-given promise that all are equal, all are free, and all deserve a chance to pursue their full measure of happiness.
I say today that this National Urban League movement, with our wonderful mosaic of people, must lead a new movement in America, and that is an empowerment movement.
We want freedom, justice, and equality. Hey, dear. Got to give the people all what they want. Got to give the people. Hey. Let me first of all say good morning, Urban Leaguers. And I do know what it means to miss New Orleans. So good morning, New Orleans, as well. I am absolutely excited and elated to be back in our beloved New Orleans and to welcome each and every one of you to this 2024 National Urban League Conference. It's gonna be the best ever. I'm grateful that my friends and family are here. And ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, we do come together in this historic city at a time of chaos, a time of conflict, and a time of contention. We also come together at a time of uncertainty and anxiety. Anxiety. And we come together at a time when it feels that fear and fallacy grip many in this mighty nation. But I want to say today, as urban leaguers, as friends, as allies, as advocates for justice, we come together also in hope and in faith, in dedication and with determination that our work, our fight for freedom, justice, and equality will not be thwarted, not be diminished, not be undermined by anyone, anywhere, anytime. Thank yous are in order. Judy Reese Morse, the talented president of the Urban League of Louisiana, her board, the indefatigable staff, the guild, the young professionals, and all who make up the Urban League of Louisiana. Let's give them another thank you for their work. And Judy, where are you? Judy, please stand and take one more bow. Judy Reese Morse. Thank you so much, Judy. The people I work with every single day at our offices in New York, the National Urban League staff are absolutely selfless. 365 days a year, they work on projects, events, and programs. They put in long hours. They put in weekends and nights. And I owe them indeed a special, special thanks because they don't get the recognition they deserve. They don't get the recognition they have earned. So I want you to give the National Urban League staff team and with our incredible executive producer, Rhonda Spears Bell, we're here to bring you what we think is the baddest, the best, and the most bodacious civil rights gathering of the summer, bar none. And this year will be no different. Tim Murphy leads our board of trustees. The people I work for, they provide guidance, they provide commitment. But I want to tell you about the extraordinary work they've done over the last several months, beginning last year when the Supreme Court struck a blow for affirmative action, and the insanity and the madness of the attacks on diversity, equity, and inclusion began. Our board members stepped up. They created a special committee. They made a commitment that their companies would not retreat. They would not backtrack. They would continue to stand up for diversity, equity, and inclusion because it's the best for America. You know, when you hear someone say that someone is a DE&I hire, I want you to say yes. They are determined, energetic, and intelligent. We're not going to walk back from the term. We're going to embrace the term for what it means. Say determined. Say energetic. Say intelligent. The volunteers, the affiliate CEOs, our staff from all across the country, many are here. They're the heart, they're the soul, they're the fiber, they're the nervous system of the National Urban League and the Urban League movement. Our affiliate CEOs, stand up now. Stand up now so we can give you the recognition you justly earned and deserve. And they are standing on incredible shoulders of men and women I have had the chance to work with. The Maudine Coopers, the John Macks, the late Clarence Barney, to name a few. So many others that have gone home, but set a path and a course, gave us role models on how to lead at the community-based level without whining, without failure, with power and with strength and with dignity and dignity. So affiliate leaders, thank you for being partners and for carrying out our work. Now, I've been joined on this stage by talented and promising young people. Some are here for the Youth Leadership Summit taking place at Xavier. Some are here as college students in the Business Executive Exchange Program. And some are members of our young professionals. They represent the next generation of the Urban League. We're proud of the work of our grandfathers and grandmothers, but this ain't your grandmama's Urban League. And it's not your granddaddy's Urban League. We're standing on it and respecting it, but a historic organization can't always be looking back and saying to people, you know, we once, we used to, we did. We got to look back and gain wisdom, strength, and inspiration from the past, but keep our eyes focused on tomorrow. So we are going to stand with these young people. We are the wind beneath their wings. These next generation leaders are why we work hard every day. Let's salute them. Let's salute them. Stand up. Let's salute them. And out here, there are other Youth Summit students, and I'll talk more about our volunteers and our young professionals as well. Sponsors, partners, volunteers, I want to salute you as well. I do not want to begin naming you because I may forget somebody, and then I'm going to be in big trouble, hot water. But here's what's important. What's important is that without volunteers, without contributors, without supporters inside America's business and philanthropic institutions, we could not do what we do. We simply could not do it. And I am eternally grateful, and we are all grateful for what you do. So we want to salute you and tell you thank you. Let's do one clap for all the sponsors. I'm going through a lot of thank yous because gratitude is important. I am so excited that my wife is here. And our eldest daughter, Kimma, is here, and she has with her her hubby, Julius, and also the newest addition to the family, our granddaughter, Audrey, who is 2 years old. When I joined the movement, Michelle and I had just gotten together, gotten married. Kimma was a college student. Her husband, Julius, was a dream. Mason was an energetic 1-year-old. And Margot and Audrey, they were great dreams too. Today they, are here, and I'm so thankful for their accomplishments, all of their accomplishments in education and professionally. So thank them. I want you to give them a hand. They guide me and put up with me, depending on the hour, the minute, and the day. And then, if you're a VIP, a wannabe VIP, a used to be VIP, a trying to be VIP, and I've not acknowledged you, I hereby consecrate you as a VIP for life and ask you to stand. If you're a VIP and I haven't recognized you, stand up now so we can acknowledge you. I can't believe there are no takers. Give yourselves a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. This is the place of my birth. This is a place of our heritage. And this is a place that gave momentum to my public service career. But it's also a place of tremendous civil rights history that does not get appropriate recognition. The Southern Christian Leadership Conference was founded here. 1957 at the New Zion Baptist Church, which was about 5 blocks away from where we were CEOs at the Dewdrop Inn the other night. I spent many a day in that church as a little boy when it was pastored by Reverend A.L. Davis, who was an influential leader in this community, a civil rights leader and a political leader. And that, his church is when, in 1957, Martin Luther King visited. And at that time, they wanted to take what had basically been an organization of ministers in Alabama and make it a region-wide coalition, and SCLC was founded right there in this city in 1957. The Plessy versus Ferguson case started here when Homer Plessy sat in an all-whites rail car in the early 1890s. The New Orleans four girls, in 1960, 2 of them will be with us tomorrow evening, made national and international news when they were mocked and jeered as they integrated the public schools in New Orleans. Norman Rockwell memorialized the event in his iconic painting, The Problem We All Live With. And this is also a place where a feeble and insensitive response by government at every level to the disaster of Hurricane Katrina laid bare the pain and suffering of tens of thousands of not only black people, but people from all backgrounds nearly 20 years ago. This is also a place of pioneering political progress New Orleans became the second southern city to elect an African-American mayor when my late father won an upset election in 1977. And Louisiana leads the nation in the number of African-American judges per capita as a result of 2 voting rights lawsuits, one of which I was proud to be a part of as a young civil rights lawyer in the 1980s and 90s. My mother, who will join the conference later, along with my late father, set an example of public service, commitment, and sacrifice to the cause of justice and equality in this city. They were warriors in the civil rights movement in the 50s and 60s. My brothers and sisters, my sister is here, one of my sisters is here, 2 of my sisters are here, learned from them values that we share: commitment, hard work, but also standing up for what you believe in and for your principles. It was a difficult and challenging time as we were part of the first generation to go to integrated schools in the city. Being called names, being mocked and challenged was a daily occurrence. As we grew up in Pontchartrain Park, crossed through the ditch to go to our elementary school in all-white Gentilly Woods, and then crossed back through that ditch to go home each day. But let me tell you about those experiences. We learned resilience and tolerance. We learned that the hopes that unite us are greater than the fears that divide us, as our circle of friends included our black friends in the neighborhood and our white friends at school. And we learned that the cause of civil rights and equal justice requires lifelong commitment, not just an episodic adventure. This city and its struggle shaped our values and our lives. And so I'm proud that the people of this city, to whom I owe so much and afforded me the opportunity to serve as their mayor beginning almost 30 years ago, it was in those years that we took a city struggling and crumbling, lying in the prone position, and led an important renaissance which opened a new chapter in this city's success. Crime was reduced, housing increased, minority business flourished, Super Bowls came, the Essence Festivals came, a professional basketball team came to town, and y'all know I could continue and continue and continue and continue. There's several people here who worked alongside of me in our administration, inside and outside. And I wanted you here to thank you. Those were challenging times like these times. But hard work and commitment and passion for change drove them. So if you are here, you served in our administration, our extended administration, you part of the Gumbo Coalition posse, I want you to stand at this time. I want you to stand at this time. I want you to be recognized. I want to thank you all. Lots of folks here. And I want to thank you because your support of me and the support you lent to my father during his pioneer years as leader of this city means so much to all of us. All right, can we talk? I just want to talk a little bit. We're gathering here on the milestone anniversaries of 2 historic events. The 54 Brown versus the Board of Education decision is 70 years old. The Civil Rights Act, which changed the arc of the moral universe in America and bent it toward justice, is 60 years old. The hope and the promise of these landmark events, one a judicial decision, the other an act of Congress, have shaped this nation's existence over the last 50 to 60 years. But here we are in 2024, at a time when, yes, there are those that are plotting, those that are conspiring, those are working morning, noon, and night to dismantle that progress. But we're here, and I want you to join me in sending a message today as loudly and clearly as we can to each and everyone in earshot, internet shot, and those beyond. Not on our watch. Not on our watch. Not on our watch will we stand aside. Not on our watch will we fail to fight. Not on our watch will we be spectators. Now, here in Louisiana, there's a right-wing extremist governor who seems determined to compete with Abbott in Texas and DeSantis in Florida in a race to the bottom when it comes to civil and human rights. I cannot stand here on this stage in this city and simply engage in platitudinous comments about what is happening in my beloved Louisiana and my beloved hometown. In 6 months, here's what he's done. He repealed successful criminal justice reform that Judy and many others in this room worked for years to put in place that saved this state more than $150 million, gone in one legislative session. He signed a barbaric law, get this, allowing the surgical castration of certain sex offenders. Put it in a law book. He deprived law enforcement of a vital tool by wiping out concealed carry permits, making it easier for violent and unstable people to carry guns. He's forcing a religious agenda into the classrooms, which now are required to display the 10 Commandments. Put the 10 Commandments up in your house. Put the Constitution up in our classrooms. He's upheld one of the country's strictest abortion bans and endangered women by restricting access to safest methods of abortion. He's pushed regressive anti-LGBTQ+ policies, including Louisiana's version of a Don't Say Gay bill. I must say today, we reject this direction in this state. And we reject it based on history and based on principle. This is a multiracial and a multicultural state with an incredible background and tapestry of people from many parts of the world. When it is united, it is strong. When it is divided, it cannot stand. So we say to the governor today, and I've never met the governor, I challenge you, sir, to be a governor for all. I challenge you to be a governor for everyone in this state, not just for some. This governor managed to do all of this even though he received the votes of only 18% of the state's registered voters, because we had one of the lowest elections in Louisiana in history, with fewer than 36% of the people turning out. A low turnout in this fall's presidential election could spell an even bigger disaster for civil and human rights all across this nation. We must turn out. And I'm not exaggerating. It's not tomfoolery. It's not puffery to say that democracy, as we know it, hangs in the balance. Let me tell you why. Right now, there's a group that some have referred to as a slime machine. They're preparing a long list of federal civil servants who could be replaced with partisan hacks who are prepared to push through a dangerous and regressive agenda known as Project 2025. 900 pages of hate and garbage. 900 pages of poppycock parading as an intellectual document. But you know, if you walk back in history, you'll find that Project 2025 has a granddaddy. Its granddaddy is the old Southern Manifesto. Now let's take a little history lesson here. What was the Southern Manifesto? Brown v. Board is issued by the United States Supreme Court, unanimous 9-0 decision. And a group of Southern politicians get together and put together what they called a Declaration of Constitutional Principles, drafted in response to that ruling. It was simply a vow to uphold racial segregation and white supremacy, signed by 19 senators and 82 representatives from the South. But Project 2025 even goes further. It would implement a social hierarchy that oppresses not only people of color, but women, non-Christians, the LGBTQ community, disabled Americans, working families, and immigrants. It is absolutely imperative that we dedicate ourselves to defeating and, yes, destroying Project 2025. It is a dangerous blueprint. It is dripping with hatred and contempt. But let us oppose it because it is anti-American. It is anti-democratic. And we must build a coalition of the willing and the principled to wholeheartedly reject it. So today, as we gather in this city, I'm asking all of you to commit to our D3 call to action. 1, defend democracy. 2, say it, demand diversity. 3, defeat poverty. Say it, defend democracy. One more time. This is what we will carry into this fall's election and beyond. When we reclaim our votes and reclaim our power as a part of our Reclaim Your Vote campaign. We must defend democracy because over the last 4 years, since the violent, anti-democratic January 6th insurrectionists did their dirt on Capitol Hill, where 7 people lost their lives, law enforcement officers had their lives threatened, and now there are more than 850 people criminally convicted. These people were not patriots. These people were insurrectionists who didn't like the outcome of an election, and they did more than whine and cry. They attacked the citadel of Western democracy, the United States Capitol. But even further, since that moment, there have been 1,800 laws proposed in state legislatures all across the nation that have no purpose whatsoever except to make it harder for people to vote, to give politicians the ability to overturn free and fair elections, to create apportionment schemes that are racially biased, and to thwart American democracy. We must defend democracy because we favor and embrace that the founding fathers in Philadelphia in Independence Hall, they got the theory right, that all people are created equal and endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. They got the execution way wrong. slavery, the oppression and exclusion of women, these were morally reprehensible. But I say, let's look back at those times, understand those times, and embrace our role today as what I'd like to call constitutional perfecters. Abraham Lincoln was a constitutional perfecter. Frederick Douglass was a constitutional perfecter. Elizabeth Cady Stanton was a constitutional perfecter. Susan Anthony was a constitutional perfecter. They fought to make the American franchise available to African Americans and women through the 15th and the 19th Amendments. Like Whitney Young and John Lewis and Martin Luther King, they were constitutional perfecters who fought to pass the Voting Rights Act in 1965. Like Lyndon Johnson, a courageous and politically cunning president who signed the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act. We must be constitutional perfecters. Like every freedom rider, every marcher, every litigant, every soldier in the fight to make the right to vote available to all, we must be what? Constitutional perfecters. We must say to the nation today, loudly and clearly, we will not let democracy slip. We will not let democracy wither. We will not let democracy die. Not on your watch, not on my watch, not on our watch, because we owe it to them. And we owe it to them. And we owe it to every young person to stand up in a time of challenge and not just enjoy the comforts and convenience of our lives that have been provided to us because somebody else busted down a wall, broke a ceiling, shattered a glass, or opened a door. So it's a call to action. We must say in this presidential campaign, anyone that shows up to ask our community to vote for them, sign here on the dotted line, I will support the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. I will support the Freedom to Vote Act. Don't drive by the community and say, I gave you a check. We have to fight for this John Lewis Act and this Freedom to Vote Act, and we have to fight until hell freezes over, and then we're going to fight on the ice. We will fight on the ice. We must demand diversity. We have to build an America in the 21st century for all Americans, an America where every one of these young people on this stage and beyond has access to the best schools, the best jobs, access to capital if they want to build a business. This requires a commitment to diversity, a commitment to overcome the pain and injustice of the past. We've seen college admissions programs attacked by regressive Supreme Court. We've seen the Fearless Fund, a group of talented women who simply wanted to create a small program to assist black women, business owners who've been locked out and left out, come under withering attack from the same high-powered, big money people who are behind Project 2025. Project 2025 wouldn't simply eliminate racial justice initiatives. It would use the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division to investigate and prosecute state and local governments, institutions of higher education, corporations, and any other private employers with diversity, equity, and inclusion policies. It sounds like a gulag. It sounds like some ancient medieval approach. Now today, I want you to know I'm very disappointed in companies like John Deere and Tractor Supply. They were so fearful and intimidated by a loud, vicious online campaign that they have abandoned their DE&I initiatives. Get a spine, man. Just get a spine. But I think what we say is their retreat is also a retreat from their fiduciary duty. And their duty to their customers, who represent every community in America, their shareholders by extension, pension funds and others, who represent every community in America. And what we have to do is begin today to say to John Deere and Tractor Supply, restore your DE&I policies. And stand up for America. But while calling them out, I also want to celebrate those business leaders who've defied the pressure and remain committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Many are represented at this conference, and we know the pressure from the inside and sometimes from the outside. The message we're sending to them is we're going to stand with you. Not only will we stand with you, we'll stand up for you in the court of public opinion. This is a linchpin issue for America because all DE&I is taking the 1964 Civil Rights Act and making it real. Don't get caught in sophisticated nomenclature. People want to discuss constitutional complexities. This is fundamental and basic. Everyone has a right to the American dream, and all institutions in America have to pave the way. So business leaders like Tim Murphy and others who are in here, I want to salute them because they understand that equal access to the American dream is one of the foundations of profitability and business success. Third, we must defeat poverty. At the heart of the Urban League mission from the very beginning is to assist people in climbing up the economic ladder, to find education, jobs, to become homeowners, business owners, to enter the economic mainstream. We do it through programs, we do it through policies, we do it through advocacy, we do it through action. We must defeat poverty. For too many, America is just not affordable. This means we must stand for a national living wage indexed to inflation. This means we must restore the child tax credit and expand the earned income tax credit. This means we must work towards affordable health care for every American. ACA was a start, but we have to go further. This means we must find a solution to housing. I say let's create a housing trust fund to finance the building of hundreds of thousands of quality, affordable homes for rental and home ownership. I think we can find a way to do it that would not require tax increases or even an act of Congress. Stay tuned. It is tragic that in America today the rent is too damn high. Is it too damn high? And mortgages are out of reach for many. We see unhoused people on the streets of Los Angeles, New Orleans, Chicago, Philadelphia, big cities and small towns. We see hardworking young professionals living 8 to an apartment because the rent is beyond their reach. We see young couples, we see single moms, we see senior citizens unable to keep a decent roof over their head because of the cost of housing in America today. The housing crisis is driving up the poverty rate, and it begs for a solution. So we say create an approach. Create a housing trust fund. And I say today, let's make the Section 8 voucher program more widely available. Let's create down payment assistance programs. Let's expand housing counseling and home buyer education. Let's do something. And I say to Chairman Powell, head of the Federal Reserve, lower that interest rate. Lower that interest rate and do it now. America's founded on economic opportunity. The idea that one can go in a single generation from modest means to success and economic security, but this has not been the case for many millennials and people of color. For African Americans, the income gap and racial wealth gap remain some of the most important unfinished work of the civil rights movement. We must rededicate ourselves to defeating old and new forms of poverty. That person who's impoverished is not poor. They're not poor in spirit. They're not poor in determination. They're not poor in ambition. They're not poor in desire. It's just that for too many, America has become unaffordable. We must defeat poverty. I'm asked, as you are, help me understand what it is the Urban League really does. How many times, affiliate leaders, do you hear that? So give me a minute right now, and I'm not going to tell you, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you by showcasing some of the great work Judy and the Urban League of Louisiana does. The Urban League of Louisiana became the first Southern affiliate in 1968 to host an Urban League conference. It hosted it in 83, 96, 2012, and now in 2024. I've had the pleasure of working with the leaders of this affiliate, going back to the legendary Clarence Barney, who sat me in his kitchen when I was interviewing for this job over multiple bowls of gumbo and gave me the ins, the outs, the formula, and the talking points. If you know Clarence, he'd ask the question and answer it too. But I love this man and his incredible legacy. To Edith Jones, Nolan Rollins, Eric McConaughey, and Costa Judy Reese Morse, this affiliate continues to climb. Let me talk to you about three people. First, Brittany Wilson. Where's Brittany? Stand up, Brittany Wilson. Brittany Wilson. Brittany is the mom of 3 junior scholars who finished from the Louisiana Urban League's Clarence Barney Head Start Center. Her youngest, Jamal had some developmental delays, but Head Start helped her to identify it. They built a plan. Now Jamal is about to enter 1st grade. Give it up for Jamal. Brittany's middle child is Brooklyn. She finished Head Start in 2019. Brooklyn is now headed to 5th grade. Stand up, Brooklyn. Let's give it up for Brooklyn. And then Jamari. Jamari was in Head Start back in 08 and 09. The same year Brittany graduated high school as a teen mom. Fully completed the program at 209. This fall, Jamari is on her way to the Howard University. Katrina Payton is the mother of Taja Poche, who's in her junior year at L.B. Landry High School. She turned to the Louisiana Urban League's Project Ready program to help prepare for college. She's now an incoming freshman at the Prairie View A&M University, studying biology and pre-med, and is on her way to becoming a pediatric surgeon. They couldn't be with us this morning, but we're still going to give them a loud Urban League shout. And then there's our brother Isaac Jones. Where's Isaac? Stand up, Isaac. Isaac is a returning citizen. He was determined to overcome his past. He completed the Urban League's 4-week career and workforce fundamentals training, where he honed vital skills such as critical thinking, teamwork, and problem solving. Most importantly, he says, I rebuilt my self-confidence. Now, he has a stable, sustaining job with U.S. Express Trucking Company. Give it up for Isaac. See, when someone asks you what the Urban League does, give them Isaac's Instagram number. Isaac, maybe I ought to pull that back. But tell them about Brittany, Jamal, Brooklyn, and Jamari. Tell them about Katrina and Taja, and tell them about Isaac. And I know every affiliate leader in this room has similar examples of people who are touched. Those stories are not going to make the headlines on the 5 o'clock news, the 6 o'clock news, the 9 o'clock news, the 10 o'clock news, the 11 o'clock news. But if tragedy hit them, it'd be a lead story. What's my point? We must lift up the positive stories, the positive examples, the people in our community that through the Urban League, and we're not the only ones, through others, are striving and struggling to succeed. That's the point here. Now let's take a moment to look to the future. First, we have a great challenge ahead of us this fall. We have an election whose consequences cannot be underestimated. We have an election that, yes, now has been shaped by the fact that now there's a historic possibility of the first woman and the first black woman to be president of the United States. And when I think about that, I think about if Harriet Tubman was here, if Dorothy Height was here, if Mary McLeod Bethune was here, if Shirley Chisholm was still here looking down, if Barbara Jordan or Susan B. Anthony, if they were here, what would they think just about the possibility? They'd be shocked, they'd be stunned, and I know they'd be excited and say, God has looked with favor on our work. Now, Kamala Harris, she's part of the Urban League. Many of you will attend the Women of Power luncheon today. 20 years ago in Detroit, Michigan, the first Woman of Power luncheon, the first honoree was Kamala Harris. The first one. Newly elected district attorney in San Francisco. And I want to say a few words about President Biden. He's been to the Urban League Conference many, many times. He's been a consequential president and a great leader. In partnership with his administration, we've greatly expanded the National Urban League's programmatic offerings. He appointed the first black woman to the Supreme Court. He chose the first black woman to be vice president. He made historic appointments to the Federal Reserve Board that many of us had been working and fighting for years. He put 2 African Americans on the Federal Reserve Board at the same time. And so that the record is clear, and that the champions of mendacity, you know mendacity? It means lying. but it means lying in a habitual way. President Biden has presided over the lowest black unemployment rate in history. He helped rescue the nation from COVID. We couldn't do our conference for 2 years. We had to do it virtually. And COVID, remember, claimed the lives of more than 1 million Americans. And he's led one of the most successful economic recoveries of any nation in the world. And he's put an economic blueprint together to rebuild infrastructure, broadband, water systems, to restore and rebuild manufacturing jobs that we foolishly lost because of 1980s and 90s trade policies. His record is unmatched when it comes to an unapologetic commitment to racial justice. I salute him. We have to salute this man. Yeah, I've seen him many times flub some names. He didn't flub my name once or twice, Melanie. And we've seen him, sometimes stumble over his words, Melanie, in those meetings. That's not the point. That's not the point. The point for a leader, where is his heart? Where is his head? What does he stand for? And I salute Joe Biden. Salute Joe Biden. What do we say to our constituents this fall? In my personal capacity, I have something to say, but that's not here. But as urban leaguers, we say to our constituents, get the facts. Learn the record. Educate yourselves. But at the end, please vote. And let us confront the absolute absurdity of the notion that one can exercise power by not voting. Now, I understand the notion and the emotion of not liking choices and being upset with the political system, but I reject the idea that not voting is a path to equality, justice, freedom, or the protection of democracy. We've got to educate people. When people say they're not voting, don't get mad. Engage in that discussion, because it is voting that is the power that we have. And I warn each and every one of us in here that we're going to be targeted by a slew of advertising, some of it coming from countries overseas, internet ads, IG posts, X posts, Facebook posts that are discouraging and seeking to confuse young voters with a specific focus on young black voters, with a hyper-specific focus on young black male voters. And those messages are going to be messages to bamboozle, trick and deceive people into not voting. That's coming. You may not see it on ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC, or any of the others. But this is what happened in 2016, and a repeat performance is being planned by many of these countries. Let the buyers beware. Let us beware and push back as we relaunch our Reclaim Your Vote campaign this fall. We're going to knock on doors. We're going to text. We'll call. We'll do everything conceivable and in our power to educate, register, and mobilize people. Second, as we look to the future, our young professionals, now 25 years old. Our young professionals have given this Urban League movement new life and new energy. YP, stand up, take a bow. 25 years of making a huge difference. Our young professionals are doctors and lawyers and tech entrepreneurs. They're professionals, they're executives, they're elected officials, they're affiliate CEOs. And they have had a tremendous impact in furthering the mission of the Urban League. Another time, happy 25 years, National Urban League Young Professionals. Shalonda, keep leading. Our Guilders as well. Soon they'll be 90. And the Guilds remain the bedrock of our volunteer movement. Today, we recognize their service. Guilders, if you're in this house, I want you to stand right now so we can show our love and our respect for the work that you do. As effective as those auxiliaries are, we've got to do something additive. So we'll propose to the Board of Trustees this fall the creation of a new auxiliary, a new volunteer auxiliary that we will call the National Urban League Influencers. This auxiliary will primarily be a place where those who've been active as young professionals can continue to remain active in the Urban League movement. And I want to thank a task force of volunteers, as well as William Barnes and the affiliate leaders, as well as Herman and the staff and Sabrina and others. There's been a lot of work, discussions, back and forth to get us to a point of consensus to be able to move forward. So this will be one Urban League with 3 segments: the young professionals, the influencers, and the Guild, because we want to be a multi-generational powerhouse. We want to be a place where hundreds of thousands of people can support our mission at the state and local level. Third, Harlem, here we come. Here we come. In 2025, the National Urban League will take a giant step forward as we move into our new headquarters on 125th Street in Harlem, USA. The Urban League Empowerment Center includes affordable housing, high-quality retail, a new Urban League Civil Rights Museum in Harlem, and we'll have other nonprofits there like Virginia Union University, the United Negro College Fund's New York office. Is a 17-story building, and it's a beacon, Chair Murphy, thank you, to the next century of the National Urban League and the Urban League movement. This will be the home of the Urban League movement. And let the record show that we've been able to do this with African American real estate developers, lawyers, real estate agents, working alongside other partners with the support of the city and the state of New York and the federal government. We're about to pull off what many said 10 years ago could not be done. So we're proud to say to the naysayers and those who had low expectations of our work, never doubt us. Never doubt us. Say never doubt us. I want to thank the many who've contributed, the staff members who've worked alongside us to build and make this project. Now, I'm humbled when I travel this nation and I meet young and old alike who share with me the way in which the Urban League has changed their lives. It's a young person I bump into at the airport who tells me about their scholarship. It's a middle-aged professional who tells me about their first job experience. It's the family who says, because of the work of the Urban League in many communities, down payment assistance like yours, George, in Washington, D.C., They got their own home. It's the returning citizen like Isaac who talks about how the Urban League cleared their record so they can be employed. It's the senior citizen who received temporary assistance to pay rent or utility bill. These experiences really touch me. These are the testimonies of strangers. These are the voluntary testimonies of strangers. And it helps remind all of us that we're not a think tank and we're not a talk tank, we're a do tank. We're about action. We're about making a difference. So today, once again, we're standing on shoulders. We're standing on the shoulders of George Edmund Haynes and Ruth Standish Baldwin. We're standing on the shoulders of Lester Granger, Eugene Kinkle Jones, and Whitney Young, and of Dorothy Height, and of Fannie Lou Hamer, and of the Reverend A.L. Davis and Avery Alexander. In this city, we're standing on the shoulders of Vernon Jordan, Molly Moon, Hugh Price, John Jacob. We're standing on the shoulders of Jackie Robinson and Willie Mays and Bill Russell and Muhammad Ali. We're standing on the shoulders of Shirley Chisholm and Barbara Jordan. And we're standing on the shoulders of our late sister, Sheila Jackson Lee. I'm proud of what we've been able to achieve. We've become bigger, stronger, and more influential because we have had to be. The times we live in demand much of us. So out of the night that covers me, and out of the night that covers us, black as a pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, we have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head, your head, our head is bloody but unbowed. So beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade. And yet the menace of the years finds us and shall find us unafraid. It matters. It matters not how straight the gate, nor charged with punishment the scroll. We are the masters of our fate. We are the captains of our soul. So, by the power vested in me by the Board of Trustees of the National Urban League, I declare this National Urban League Conference open for business.